Gentlemen, you are the cream of the world's air forces. This country desperately needs your help. 6 months ago, an extremely well-armed and organized terrorist force carried out a coup d'etat. Attempts to free our country have been foiled by repeated surprise attacks. To avoid escalating this war and causing unacceptable civilian losses, we wish to employ your services. Surgical airstrikes and the elimination of enemy air superiority will tip the scales in our favor. You will receive remuneration commensurate with your positions as the premier top guns of the world. This is an evaluation of your operational abilities. Intelligence reports an enemy supply unit moving to resupply their forward positions. You should have the advantage of surprise. We should have localized air superiority for the duration of the operation. Target, C5A supply unit.
Ready? Break now! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Here! Post! On our left! Up ahead! Bogey on our 6! On our right! Ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Don't let him get away! Jesus, miss! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy target located. On our tail! Enemy target located. Enemy target located. I'm losing him! Enemy target located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Bad one! Enemy up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Down! Great shot! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot through him away! Stay with him. A great shot! Stay with him. He's toast! targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy targets located. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! Don't let him get away! Oh! Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Don't let him get away! Stay with him! Don't let him get away! On our left! Up ahead! Fire! Shoot him down! Stay with him! Don't let him get away! Stay with him! Don't let him get away! Stay with him! Tag one! Mission accomplished!
Immediate mobilization required. Our base's position was compromised in the last enemy push. Reports indicate imminent arrival of bombers. Scramble and ace those bogies. Target, B-52 Bomber Force.
Ready? Break now! Enemy locked on target. Enemy locked on us. Bogey on our 6. Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Up ahead! Bogey on our 6. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot him down! Jesus, miss! Jesus, miss! Great shot! Bogey on our 6. Up ahead! Bogey on a takeoff! On our left! Enemy target located. Fire! Shoot him down! Up ahead! On our right! Bogey on our 6. And up ahead! On our left! Bogey on our 6. Up ahead! take off! Stay with him! Up ahead! Back one! Enemy in sight! Focus on our 6! Enemy in sight!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert,
Enemy
body
in sight!
damage.
Jesus, miss!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body
Focus forward,
damage.
missile approaching! Dive! Dive! Focus on our tail! Enemy on our left! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy in sight! On our left! Enemy in sight! On our left!
Warning.
Locked on us!
Warning.
Back one! On our left! Focus 12 o'clock! On our left! On our right! Focus on our 6! Up ahead! Fire! Take off! Stay with him! Wait! Enemy targets located! Enemy targets located! Enemy in sight! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Shoot it down! Focus on our 6! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Shoot it down! Stay with him! Enemy in sight! Enemy in sight! Fire! Shoot it down! Oh! Enemy target located. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Wasted! On our right! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Shoot him away! Enemy target located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! Wasted! Mission accomplished.
AWACS reports an enemy incursion in our sector. We are diverting you from local air support to forward operations. Neutralize the approaching units. Target enemy attacking force. Formation makeup is unknown. Expect enemy fighter support and a tough dogfight. Good luck.
Ready? Break now! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Take off! Enemy locked on us. Missile approaching. Dive!
Warning.
Focus on our tail! On our left! Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Focus on our 6. Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Jesus, miss! Don't let him get away! Jesus, miss! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy target located. Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Take off! Up ahead! Locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy target located. On our right! On our left! Up ahead! Focus on our 6. Out! On our left! Up ahead! Locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Shoot him away! Enemy target located. Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Stay with him. Bingo! Yahoo! Focus on our 6. Stay with him. Enemy target located. Take off! Up ahead! On our left. Focus on our 6. Up ahead! Focus on our 6. Enemy in sight. Fire! Focus on our 6. On our right. Enemy in sight. Up ahead. On our right. Up ahead. Focus on our 6. On our left. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Fire! Put it down! Quick shot! Blew him away! Fire! Shoot it sight. On our left. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bring back one! Mission accomplished.
Up to now, our offensive missions have been constrained by the presence of civilians in Donut City. A recent evacuation of that city permits us to engage hard targets within the city perimeter. Target 1, Computer Communications Center. Target 2, Enemy Headquarters Building. Night conditions should neutralize enemy ground fire. However, the city has at least 3 interceptors available. We have no intelligence on force composition. From now on, you will have a wingman assigned to you. Inform him of the operation before departure.
Ready? Break now! Enemy in sight. Enemy target located. Great shot! On our right! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Up ahead! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy target located. Up ahead! locked on target. Fire! Shoot him down! Stay with him. Recruit him! Enemy targets located. Bogey on our 6. Enemy locked on target. Quick! Take off! Bogey on our tail! Quick! On our left! Enemy in sight. Let's return to mid. Bogey on our 6. And on our left. Bogey on our tail. Bogey on our 6. Enemy target, take off. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. On our left. Bogey on our 6. Take off! On our left! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Stay with him. Don't let him take it! Wasted! Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Enemy target located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Put it down! Great shot! Don't let him get away! He's wasted! Bogey at 12 o'clock! On our right!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Bogey on our 6.
Body damage. Alert, body
Enemy locked on
damage.
target.
Alert, body
Go!
damage.
Fire! Bogey on our tail! Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our tail. Enemy in sight. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. On our left. Bogey on our 6. Enemy target located. Take off. Enemy target located. Enemy target located. Enemy in sight. Enemy target located. On our left. Bogey on our 6. Mission accomplished.
intelligence indicates a weak link in their fuel supply infrastructure. A single pipeline transfers all crude oil from their fields to their refinery. Strike both the pipeline and the refinery. Target: oil refinery plant and oil field. Use the pipeline as a reference to the refinery. Locate and destroy.
Ready? Break now! Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target.
Alert, body damage. Alert, body
Enemy locked on
damage.
target.
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on our right. Quick shot! Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our tail. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on bogey on our 6. Take off. On our left. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Enemy in sight.
Warning.
Fire! Shoot it down! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on us. Enemy in sight. Missile approaching. Dive! Dive! Enemy targets located. On our left! Up ahead! Bogey on our 6. Quick shot! Take off! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Quick shot! Up ahead!
Warning.
Bogey
Warning.
on our 6. On our left. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Fire! Shoot it down! Freaking wasted! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Let's return to mission, buddy! Enemy inside. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Enemy locked on target. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Up ahead. On our right. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Let's return to mission. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Take off! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Quick shot! Enemy target located. On our left. Bogey on our 6. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Stay with him. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot him down! Fire! Shoot him down! Yahoo! Stay with him. Great shot! Back one! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
Yahoo! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
Great shot!
Caution.
Enemy target. Altitude too low. Climb. Up ahead. Enemy in sight.
Warning.
Enemy locked on us.
Warning.
Bogey on our missile approaching. Dive. Dive. Take off. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Fire! Put it down! Take off! Electric blue, him away! Bogey on our tail! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy in... On our right! Bogey on our 6! Bogey on our 6! On our right! Up ahead! Let's return to mission, buddy! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Don't let him get away! Shoot him away! Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Quick shot! Fire! Post! Focus on our 6. Enemy targets located. On our right! Up ahead! Focus on our 6. Enemy targets located. Take off! Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Focus 12 o'clock. On our right. Up ahead! Mission accomplished.
The enemy has proved to have significant resources. This war of attrition is not to our advantage. We are now targeting key infrastructure sites. Target: Resources mining system and production plant. Intelligence reports stealth fighters operating in this theater. Remember, their lack of radar signature makes visual sighting essential.
Enemy targets located.
Warning.
Bogey at 12 o'clock. Bogey on our tail. Bogey on our 6. Bingo! Yahoo! Take off. Enemy locked on us.
Warning.
Missile
Warning.
approaching. Dive! Dive! On our left. Up ahead. On our left. Enemy lock Bogey on our 6. Great shot. Bogey at 12 with take off. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. On our left. Bogey on our 6. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire. Shoot it down. Bingo. Bogey on our 6. Take off. On our left. Up ahead. Fire! Shoot it down! On our left! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Bogey on our 6. Fire! Shoot it down! Up ahead! Enemy target close. Take off! On our right! Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. Enemy lock, take off! Bingo! Yahoo!
Alert. Body damage. Alert. Body damage. Alert. Body damage. Alert. Body damage. Alert. Body damage.
Enemy targets located. Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Take off! West return! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Bogey on our 6. Enemy locked on target. Take off! I'm losing him! Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Bingo! On our right! Enemy in sight. On our left. Bogey on our 6. Bingo! Woohoo! On our right. Up ahead. Up ahead. Let's return to mission, buddy. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! Blew him away! Enemy target located. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. On our left! Up ahead! Bingo! Woohoo! Don't let him get away! Here! Oh! Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Up ahead. On our right. Enemy locked on target. Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our tail. Take off. Enemy locked on target. Altitude too low. Fly.
Caution.
Great shot.
Low altitude.
Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! On our left. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Up ahead. Take off. Fire. Shoot it down. Stay with him. Don't let him get away. On our left. Bogey on our 6. Up ahead! Bogey on our tail! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Up ahead!
Warning.
Locked on target. Fire! Bingo! Bogey on our 6. Enemy targets located. On our left! Let's return to mission, buddy! Enemy in sight.
Warning.
Enemy locked on target. Bogey on our 6. On our left. Up ahead. On our right. Bogey on our 6. Up ahead. On our right. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. On our left.
Warning.
Enemy in sight. Up ahead.
Warning.
Bogey on our 6. On our right.
Warning.
Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! On our right! Bogey on our 6. On our right! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Bogey on our 6. Enemy locked on target.
Halted.
Bingo! Take off! Bogey on our 6. Enemy targets located. On our left. Bogey on our tail. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! On our left. Mission accomplished.
The enemy's ADCRS, Air Defense Command and Radar System, has been identified. We can expect a steep drop in enemy effectiveness if this site is destroyed. The enemy has an effective SAM kill zone around the target. Its one weak point is a narrow ravine leading to the base. This requires precision, nap of the earth flying. Target, enemy radar site. You have no effective countermeasures to this model of SAM. Exit the ravine and you are toast.
Ready? Break down! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Here! Toast! Enemy target located. locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bag one! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Bag one! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Post! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Mission accomplished.
Regaining Donut City is a prime strategic consideration for the enemy. To forestall offensive operations, we will strike their staging area. Target, staging facilities and B-1 bombers. Our goal is to hit them just before their incursion begins.
Ready? Right now! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bag one! On our left! Bogey on our six! On our left! Up ahead! Locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Stay with him.
Caution.
Pull out of it!
Mission stalled.
On our right! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Green! Wasted! On our left! Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Shoot him away! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Back one! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Up ahead! Jesus, miss! On our right! Enemy up ahead! Here! Toast! Enemy in sight! Fire! Shoot it down! Back one! Let's return to mission! Enemy in sight! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Enemy target located. Enemy locked on target. Focus on our 6. Take off! Enemy target located. Enemy target located. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target.
Alert, body damage.
Focus on our
Alert,
6.
body damage.
Enemy in
Alert,
sight.
body damage. Alert, body damage.
Take off!
Alert, body damage.
Caution! Pull out of it!
Engine stall.
I'm losing him! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy target located.
Caution.
Pull out of it. Focus 12 o'clock. Enemy in sight. Focus on our 10. Focus on our 6. Enemy target located. Take off. Focus on our 6. Mission accomplished.
Naval Intelligence report a transport heading to Nawikot Bay. Since it may be a troop transport, we need to sink it before it docks. Follow up with destruction of the island port facilities. The opposition is expected to consist of an enemy fighter wing of unknown composition and patrolling Aegis warships. Aegis missile system is highly effective. Eliminate the warships quickly.
Ready? Break now! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it! Wait! Focus on our six. On our right! Focus on our six. Up ahead! Take off! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down!
Warning.
Focus on our tail! Enemy in sight. Focus on our six. Enemy locked on the head. Take off! Don't let him get away! Stay with him! Jesus, hit! Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Focus on our six. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Stay back one! On our right! Focus on our six. On our right! On our left! Up ahead! On our left! Focus on our six! On our right! Enemy in sight! Up ahead! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy in sight. On our right. Up ahead. Break through. Enemy targets located. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire. Shoot it down. On our left. Up ahead. Fire! Shoot it down! Break through him away! sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! On our left! Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Moving on our tail! On our left! Up ahead! Focus 12 o'clock! On our left! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Moving on our too low! Flying! Focus on our 6! On our left! Focus on our tail! Enemy targets located.
Caution.
Pull out of it!
Engine stall. Caution. Engine stall.
Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Focus 12 o'clock. On our left.
Alert, body
Focus
damage.
on our 6.
Alert, body damage.
Enemy locked on target.
Alert, body damage.
Focus on our 6. Take
Alert,
off.
body damage. Alert, body damage.
Enemy targets located. Focus on our 6. Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Enemy up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire. Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire. Out. Let's return to mission, buddy. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Mission accomplished.
your mercenary unit has proved its reliability. We request you aid in the extraction of one of our officers from the enemy mountain fortress. We can only send one unit without alerting the opposition. Target: cripple enemy air defense and land on their runway. Only you have the requisite skills. You will be paid handsomely.
Ready? Break now! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target.
Alert, body damage.
Six.
Alert, body damage.
On our left.
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Enemy in sight.
Alert,
Up
body
ahead.
damage.
Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Jesus, miss! Great shot! Blew him away! Let's return to mission, buddy! Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Fire!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Alright!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert,
Up
body
ahead!
damage.
Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! He's wasted! Let's return to mission, buddy! Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Jesus, miss! On our right! Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! Fire! Shoot it down! Bingo! Yahoo! Back one! Fire! Shoot it down! They would blew him away!
The enemy is committing its huge mothership to this theater. They are growing desperate. Eliminate the mothership and their naval mobility is crippled. There are no reference points on the ocean. Pay attention to the operational map. Target mothership.
Ready? Break now! Enemy targets located. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Altitude too low. Climb.
Caution. Low altitude. Caution.
Too low. Climb.
Low altitude. Caution.
Bingo!
Caution.
Bogey on our 6. Take off! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
Bingo!
Caution.
Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy targets located. Up ahead! On our left! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Bogey on our 6. Fire! Shoot it down! On our left! Enemy locked on target. Bogey on our tail! Enemy locked on target. Jesus, miss! On our left! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Take off! On our left! Enemy in sight. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it! Bingo! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Take off! Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our 6. Enemy locked on altitude too low. Flying! Bogey on our 6. Take off! Enemy targets located. Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Bogey on our tail! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Tag one! On our left! Bogey at 12 o'clock! Enemy up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! On our left! Don't let it get away! Bingo! Here! On our right! Bogey on our 6! On our left! Up ahead! Enemy in sight! Enemy locked on target! Fire! Shoot it down! On our left! Up ahead! Enemy in sight! Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! Enemy target located. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Bogey on our 6. Great shot! Bogey at 12 o'clock. Take off. Bogey on our tail. On our right. On our left. Up ahead. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Jesus! Bogey on our 6. On our left. Bogey on our 6. On our right. On our right.
Alert,
Bogey on our 6.
standing.
Mission accomplished.
Our offensive operations are now concentrated on the Scorpion Island fortress. The base itself is a hard nut to crack, but we will isolate it by eliminating its bridge and central runway. Target: Red Suspension Bridge to the island and its Air Force base. There will be plenty of ACAC and SAM defenses around the runway. Go in for one pass, then break off operations.
Ready? Break now! Enemy in sight. Enemy targets located. And we'll get 12 o'clock. On our left. Bogey on our 6. Take off! Bogey on our 6. Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Bogey on our 6. On our left. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Bogey on our 6. Enemy targets located. Take off! Enemy locked on our left. Bingo! Yahoo! Bogey on our 6. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy in sight. Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our tail. Take off. On our left. Enemy targets located. Up ahead. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Fire! Shoot it down! Great shot! Back one! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shooting at the blue! Get away! Bogey on our 6. On our left! Up ahead! Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Quick shot! Here! Oh! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Too low. Flying. Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Enemy in sight.
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Bingo!
Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage. Alert, body damage.
Bogey on our 6. Enemy targets located. On our right. Enemy locked on target. Bogey on our 6. Take off. Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot him down! Bogey on our 6. Up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot him down! Bogey on our 6. Don't let him get away! Stay with him. Here. Enemy target bogey on our 6. Bogey on our 6. Bogey at 12 o'clock. Bogey on our tail. Bogey on our 6. Bingo! Yahoo! Take off! Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. And up ahead! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Oh! Up ahead! On our left! Bogey on our 6. Enemy in sight. Take off! Up ahead! Fire! Shoot it down! Take it back one! Bogey on our 6. Bogey on our 6. Take off! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy in sight. Enemy on our 6.
Warning.
Enemy locked on us.
Warning.
Enemy missile approaching. Dive! Dive!
Caution.
Enemy in sight. Enemy target located. Enemy locked on target. Great shot! Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot him down! Stay with him. Great shot! Don't let him get away. He's wasted! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! I'm losing him! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Altitude too low. Flying! I'm losing him! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Enemy locked on. Bingo! Yahoo! Great shot! Bingo! Yahoo! Mission accomplished.
The enemy is on his last legs. One more strike should lay him out. Take your unit through the ravine to the enemy headquarters. Intelligence is sketchy on force composition near the headquarters, so keep on your toes. Fly low on your way in. Everything above the ravine is a SAM kill zone.
Ready? Break now! Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! Enemy targets located. Enemy in sight. Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Back one! Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Wasted! Up ahead! Up ahead! Enemy in sight. Fire! Shoot it down! Blew him away! Mission accomplished.
Urgent message. Enemy giant airborne fortress discovered. This may be your final task. Eliminate it before it reaches our airspace. Good luck.
Ready? Break now! Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. On our right! Move on our tail! Move on our tail! Enemy targets located. On our right! Up ahead! On our left! Move on our tail! Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
Great shot!
Caution.
Wingman has been hit. Enemy in sight.
Caution.
Enemy locked on target.
Caution.
Shot! Enemy locked on. Bingo! Yahoo! Altitude too low. Climb!
Caution.
Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Enemy targets located. Let's return to mission, buddy. Enemy locked on target. Fire! Shoot it down! Stay with him. Great shot! Don't let him get away. Stay with that one. Enemy targets located. On our left. Move on our tail. Enemy targets located. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo! Great shot! Bingo! Yahoo! Enemy locked on target. Great shot!
Caution.
Pull out of it!
Engine stalled.
I'm losing him! I'm losing him! Enemy in sight. Enemy locked on target. Bingo! Yahoo! Great shot! Bingo! Yahoo! Bingo! Yahoo! I'm losing him!
Congratulations. The enemy has capitulated and the coup has failed. The rightful government has been restored to this peaceful country. Your skill as Top Guns changed the balance. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you.